All right. Part 2 of class 8, a final day. Thank you guys for letting me see all of your work, your beautiful paintings. I'm having so much fun experimenting and playing and trying all these new ideas with you guys. And again, we're all learning from each other. I'm learning so much from all of your paintings. And I'm currently looking for 2 new ones. Oh, they're over here. That I did. I think I started these probably after class last week that I'm going to show you here. I just did some black and white and just glazed into them yesterday. This is one that we had done before. All I've done is glaze in kind of orangey, kind of, I think it's a combination of some reds with the Indian yellow. And on this one, I actually kind of like where it's going already. I'm pretty happy. And then as I bring in other colors, some of the greens, you know, kind of very olivey greens into here. And then I'll push some of this back with some kind of purpley cools, and then let this, you know, make the sun even brighter than it is. But I actually liked, I went back in and really vigorously with my paper towel, wiped back away the glaze up here and just let it kind of transition down so that it feels warmer down close to the sun. And I actually, that was pretty impressive. You know, kind of fun to see how it's doing that, how it's warming the clouds up towards the cooler clouds. This one, the other one, as soon as I started glazing into it, I realized I made the sky and the water too dark. So once I started glazing in, it wasn't getting the separation that I wanted. So this one, I'll definitely be coming back in with opaque, you know, brighter, lighter colors and making something more interesting here. And then I'll do the same. I'll kind of create cooler shadows that I'll be doing more opaquely with paint. So this painting, like I said, at this stage, I feel like, okay, I'm off to a pretty good start, but it's nowhere near where I want it to go. So as trying to get it to focus back over here, just continuing to constantly learn through trial and error. And the neat thing again about oil paints is they're very forgiving. They will allow us to come back in with opaque paint and, you know, cover areas, lighten areas. I often do paint from dark to light, so I'm pretty comfortable with that idea. That being said, it's not the easiest to see in the light I have in the studio. This part of the sky is quite a bit darker than this part of the sky. And I'm curious, it'll have a transition. Whereas with this sky, I actually put 2 different layers of the white paint over the top because I just wanted to make it quite light. So that but it'll be a kind of a cool color because the sun is coming across and hitting the fronts of these trees. Again, this is a cast shadow from a tree behind me on a field. You can kind of see some of the tire tracks I just started to kind of hint at in the field as they were cutting the grass or whatever it was. There is a barn and a farm back in here, but I took it out just for simplification purposes and to experiment with. But what I wanted to show, and I may only really focus on this one right now, is that I can glaze parts of it. I do not have to glaze everything, and I can glaze differing colors. I know some of you guys are experimenting with that, but we don't need to glaze the whole surface one color, right? We can use different quadrants of glaze and color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my earth red. Oh, I don't even have any out. Give me 1 second here. Ooh, I have gold ochre. Quinacridone gold, I mean. This is a really interesting color and almost extinct for artists. I think it's transparent. It's just this beautiful, warm, goldy color. I'll put a little bit of that on there.
Wait, what color is that?
It's called quinacridone gold. And it's only, as far as I know, only Daniel Smith sells it, and it's almost gone. Like literally whatever minerals to get the original version of it, it's almost gone for artists.
Wow.
So if you like the color or want to experiment with it, you have to go out and get it now. There's a couple colors that are probably going to be going away for artists in the next year or two. And that's usually fine because most of the colors I use are, you know, readily available, and we're constantly finding ways to make new colors. I'm constantly being given tubes of paint to experiment with. This color is really weird. I'm going to go ahead and put some on so you can see it. It's called Brown Pink by Sennelier. 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 Brown Pink. And it is the weirdest thing because let's see when I put it on there. Or maybe I can hold up what I just put out. This is brown pink. What color does it look like to you guys?
Green.
Yeah, it's
Green.
I don't know why. And supposedly it does really interesting color combinations. I haven't experimented with it that much because of the fact that I just don't have very much of it. But what I want to do is I'm going to thin it down a little bit with my paint thinner. I could be using my Galkid gel, but I'm not going to, just for simplification purposes today. When glazing, as long as you don't thin the paint down with too much paint thinner, I actually thin it down mostly by the fact of just putting it on thinly and then scrubbing it with the paper towel. It won't lose all of its binding. It's just like the acrylics. If we had too much water, we lose the binding quality, the ability to adhere to the surface. If you add too much paint thinner to your oils, like make them really, really runny, you've basically destroyed the oil. And that's the glue that holds the pigment to the surface. So just as a reminder, what I wanted to do was kind of use this on the right sides of some of my surfaces. You kind of can see that, right? A little bit. And that green, hopefully, when I bring in the warm reddy browns, is going to create kind of the illusion of the shadow, but not so dark. Just kind of as the light is wrapping around these surfaces.
Is that the brown pink?
Yep. And again, I've heard it does really beautiful things when mixed with other colors, but I have not experimented with it as much as I would like to. I'm using it kind of as my transition color. So it's kind of on the edges of where the light is going to be hitting the trees and rolling around to the shadow side. And also the same thing on my cast shadows is as the area between the strong dark shadow and then the light of the field is going to have this kind of transition. We'll see if it works. I'm experimenting for the first time in front of all you. So we're all learning together again. This class is more like a lab, an experiment sometimes. You know how to wipe that down just a little bit so it's not so thick. There, it's really warming up once it gets lighter. Definitely. All right, I'm already beginning to second guess what I'm doing, but let's keep playing. Can always take a little bit of paper or paint thinner and wipe it back down if I need to. All right, now I'm picking up my quinacridone gold, which is a pretty warm brownish color. It does look like it's fairly transparent, so hopefully it will do what I'm thinking, but it doesn't look that different than the iron oxide or the earth red. And I am planning to make, again, even though these trees so that green is kind of doing the effect when it touches the red of neutralizing it down. I want to go ahead and start wiping away, but I'm going to mix some of my ultramarine blue with some of that reddish brown to create a cooler dark that I'm going to bring into the shadows in the foreground and at the base of these trees. Oh, it's very green, so I'm going to bring in a little more red. Okay, so I'm definitely learning that the quinacridone gold is a very weak color. These other colors are definitely dominating it, especially the French ultramarine. But I squeezed out quite a lot of it, and I've already gone through so much of it because where I have the French ultramarine touching it, it's cooling down very quick and turning to green, which is interesting.
So it's not very much different than Indian yellow,
Which color?
the quinacridone gold.
I would say, yeah, it's kind of like Indian yellow and earth red mixed together.
Ah, okay.
That's how I, so
Wow.
far.
I just looked it up, and for a small tube, it's $23. So
Yeah, probably not worth it unless you just want to be able to brag to friends. I have a rare and almost extinct color, which is probably why I bought it. It's why I buy everything, just to brag to friends.
yeah, right.
I have it and you don't.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think what I'll probably do is wipe this down. It'll still work as a kind of initial color scheme or value scheme, but I'll probably wipe it down quite a bit and come back in with the colors I'm more comfortable with. I don't want to chicken out too quick. I want to give it a chance, but I am seeing like where I'm guessing now I could know a little more with the colors I'm more comfortable with. I'm probably just going to go ahead and start. I do have a little bit of Indian yellow on my palette. I'll probably bring that into the light area. All right, my strongest shadows, I'm going to bring a little more. I don't even know if that's actually French ultramarine. I don't think it is. That, oh, that may be part of the problem. I think what I thought was French ultramarine, maybe phthalo blue. They look the same on the palette. I usually will mix a little bit of white next to my phthalo blue just to mark it. All right, well, Indian yellow. Let's bring that in real quick. All right, so as I come back in with my paper towel and kind of wipe it back down a little bit, you can see that I've kind of selected different areas of where I've hit with different colors. So I'm going to start, actually, I'm going to add just a touch of cadmium red. So I want that warm part of the ground to appear a little oranger, not quite as yellow, especially kind of on that, again, that I love the penumbra of cast shadows, the kind of that red little halo that you can get sometimes. So playing that up a little bit. All right, let's see what happens. I'm going to paint with my paper towel now that I've kind of got it on. It looks like a watercolor painting right now.
Really pretty.
I'm going to start with my lights. Thank you. Start with my lights, because if I started in the shadows, I run the chance of contaminating areas a little more. So kind of wiping away, and that already got too yellow, so I'm going to come back in with a little more cad red, which is not a translucent color. So I just want these grasses to feel a little more fall, a little more that kind of brown warm. So let's see. Interesting. So the Indian yellow definitely stained so much faster. So this red is not really sticking on there. So good little note to self. Now let's come back. I'm going to go ahead and even bring some of those reds. I put it actually on my paper towel. And I'm going to bring some of those down into my shadows just a little bit. So I'm just painting with very thin paint. I haven't added too much paint thinner. I'm keeping it thin by using my paper towel, not paint thinner, because I want to retain the glue that is the oil. That makes sense, you guys?
And what would be the remedy if you did end up with too much paint thinner?
Adding more paint, probably.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you got to be careful, because if you do too much paint thinner, like, I see students oftentimes using it like oil or like watercolors, and it's all runny and everything else. And you run the risk again of just not having a good layer to build onto. A touch of the Galkid, any kind of a medium that works as a glue, Galkid, or what's the one that anyways, thinking about a medium, because a lot of times the mediums kind of work as glues.
Who makes the pink brown? Was that Sennelier or whatever it is?
Sennelier. Yeah, whether or not it's very useful, it's kind of one of those fun to have, fun to experiment. I have, hundreds of tubes of these kind of odd colors that sometimes I throw in just to keep things kind of fresh and to see what happens. It definitely is a pretty weak color.
So you're attributing that kind of greenish tone in the trees to the pink brown?
Yeah, I believe so. Well, and I did add a little bit of blue, and evidently I think it's phthalo because I just touched it and it kind of dominated all the colors.
Ah, okay.
I don't know why I would have phthalo blue on my palette when I would use that. I like that. Like it's got the feeling it actually, it does feel like a cast shadow. I like the light on the trees, everything else, but I wanted it much warmer than that. So let me see about a warm red that's somewhat more transparent instead of a cadmium. My most constant red that I use is the quinacridone red. This one's all taped up because I travel with it so the edges don't stab into the other tubes while traveling. But quinacridone red, but the only problem with quinacridone red is that it's a very cool red, more like an alizarin. So I'm trying to see if I have a tube of a warm transparent red, which is a little harder to find. Naphthol scarlet is a semi-transparent.
How about pyrrole?
Yeah, that's what I was actually looking for, was pyrrole, but I'm not sure I have any that I'm finding really easy. I've got so many reds in this drawer right now. I don't want to waste all our time with me looking.
Did you say the naphthol scarlet is more opaque?
It's a semi-transparent, so it'll work for this.
What about transparent earth red?
That's what I should have used in the first place. That would have been my basic go-to all-arounder. And do you guys mind if I get a little bit crazy here for a second?
Not at
Let's.
all. Join the party.
I just put paint thinner on my paper towel.
Oh, wow. Look at that Indian yellow. It really does stain.
Coming
So
through.
did you just wipe everything off?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it seems like the Indian yellow definitely wants to kind of stain.
I guess.
So that's the fun of experimenting, especially with a nice dry under acrylic painting. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting now. Very thin. I'm gonna hit it one more time with some paint thinner, actually quite a bit here. Now it's just a ton of paint thinner, it's just dripping down. Let that sit for 1/2 second and then I'll wipe it off with a new clean paper towel. Use this time to clean up my paint area because I got a crazy mess, and I will bring out the earth red because you guys don't know exactly what I'm after, but I actually want those trees and I want everything being hit by the light to feel like it's really getting hit. Nice, warm reds. And I could have always come back in with opaque paint, but I just want to see how close I can get with transparent glazing really quick. All right.
So have you ever tried, or did you mention transparent yellow iron oxide?
I have that.
Because I discovered that in acrylic and it is not nearly as staining as Indian yellow.
But not nearly as warm either.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a nice color. It's just a more neutralized version. But it plays really nicely with the earth red. A lot of times you can do so much with just those two colors. All right.
Every time I look at my Zoom window, your painting looks completely different.
All right, I've squeezed out transparent earth red. It's leaking out of the back, so I've got it all over my hands. Looks like that tube got stabbed. Try to.
What was the name of that transparent yellow?
Oxide yellow.
Oh,
Yeah.
put on there transparent yellow oxide.
Okay, yellow oxide.
Yellow oxide.
Yeah,
Thank
it's a
you.
nice color. I used to use it all the time. And then I never refilled my,
Yellow iron oxide.
oh, I don't have that one.
Transparent yellow iron oxide is what I'm looking at.
Okay, I
Um,
don't have that one.
What? There's a
brand is-
color you don't have?
I have transparent yellow oxide.
Huh, probably the same thing.
Probably. What brand is yours?
Well, this is a golden acrylic.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe that's the name of the acrylic I have. I don't know.
Does it give you a pigment number on your tube
Of my acrylic?
of your oil, your transparent yellow oxide oil?
Oxide, yeah, it says oxide PY42.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And this is a synthetic iron oxide. It says.
Right, right.
So I'm mixing Indian yellow and earth red together, and I'm gonna go a little bit faster. That's too much paint thinner that I just put on there. Note to self. So mostly this is left. And I just did what I basically told you guys not to do, and that's, there's a lot of paint thinner in this right now, unfortunately. But we'll wipe it back down. So that's mostly iron oxide or earth red. Now I'm going to start adding Indian yellow. Kind of scrubbing that into the highlights.
Ooh.
There we go. Look how much warmer that is than the green painting I had before.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, we've realized and learned due to my overexuberance and experimentation that we can go back and forth. We have a little bit of time to kind of play, try out some colors, see how they work, and if not, try it again, wipe them off. Maybe this is what I should have done to start with, and then I could have come back in with my transparent greens into the shadows a little more, different things. This will be useful information as we move forward into the final painting as well. I like what's going on here.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
pretty. I like the other one too, but you know, it didn't fit what you had in your mind.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, this painting was partly picked as the subject because of the color. Just the fall, the warm, earthy colors. This other painting over here is definitely a different color palette, a lot more in the shadows. Let's play up light just a tiny bit more, but you can bring enough a little more, and I can come back in and warm those areas if I want later.
Finger painting.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Yes, attractive color finger painting with Michael Orwick. What did you do all day? Finger painting.
I used to love that as a kid.
Trying to kind of by lightening the tops of the rows a little bit, letting them feel like they're getting just a little more light than kind of the darker shadow sides of the rows. So hopefully I'm getting the sense of kind of depth, undulation a little bit in the grasses. I can come back in and play that up more or less as I'm building up. Now I'm just making a slightly more opaque orange, maybe too opaque. I mean, too orange. So mix a little more brown into it. Just gonna see. So this is a little more opaque, a little thicker paint. I'm just trying to kind of warm up areas of the tree that are getting hit by the light the most. So I'm just seeing if that creates the illusion of the tree getting hit by the light and then wrapping around towards the shadows.
And you mix that, you didn't use cadmium orange.
I don't, yeah, no cadmium orange, but I do have a more opaque, warmer red, whichever color it is. And then I actually mixed a tiny bit of a cad yellow light just to add to the opacity. I know that'll cool it down, but I just thought a little more thick. And I'll be just about done with this painting. I know we want to get to the main event, but I thought that this would be fun to play on together, to experiment with. And I won't do that other painting, or I'll do it at the end of class if anybody wants to stick behind and and I still have a voice. Ooh, I'm kind of liking that. It's picking up the warmth. The color that I would put back here, at least in my photo, it's this kind of cool, creamy yellow, but I almost think it might be nice to put kind of a gray back there or something to really play off the warms that I'm chasing after in this
Kind of a purple gray.
purple gray, yeah, which I probably have on the palette. I do. I can mix my Portland cool and my Portland warm and make a Portland purple. Gamblin makes these beautiful grays. The warm, so this is their Gamblin's neutral gray, their cool gray, and their warm gray. They're definitely just shortcut colors. They're, you know, as easy as anything to make. But I have tubes of them, and I was doing that Cannon Beach picture of Haystack Rock off in the distance. And so, you know, the painting is 99% gray, so why not create a shortcut and something that I could base all the colors on. So let's just go ahead and bring in the cool and warm gray, and just to see how it plays with these other colors. Since it's just kind of a test, I'm just kind of scrubbing in the color a little bit to cover that area. I'm going to let it get, that's really quite dark. It's not appearing very dark for you guys, but see, look at that difference of what I covered and what I didn't.
Wow.
You can't see it for some reason on this little guy. I'm going to see if I can move this camera closer and maybe change the angle slightly.
Oh,
Sorry if I'm getting you guys seasick here.
saw it for a second when you're removing and now can't
Right.
see it again. Huh. Mm. Uh-oh.
I'm just mixing up a slightly more very, very cool pink for down on my horizon. Man, I'm so sorry you guys can't see that at all. Hopefully once I get it kind of covered. Just trying to kind of cover everything really quickly.
You're going to post it on the site anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So Michael, why did you decide to paint the sky in cooler colors?
So it's a contrast to the warms of the trees.
Okay,
To make things feel warmer, you can either paint them warmer or you can put the things around them cooler.
okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
It's optical contrast, temperature contrast, color contrast, value contrast, whatever it is. And this one, it's temperature contrast. Some kind of make a bluey gray background for my little faraway hill. And I'll probably have to come back in and repaint lots of this because it's getting a little rushed, but. All right, so once I got all that yellow covered, it's showing up a tiny bit more. There you can kind of see it a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Just a little.
Just a little, yeah, sorry. Man, one day I will finally get it all tuned in and COVID will be over and won't need my cameras anymore.
Are we gonna
think-
meet at OSA?
We'll see. I might do both, or I don't know, because I sure do like teaching out of my studio.
And it opens it up to more people.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Michael, if you were to just temporarily tip the top of the painting forward a little,
Mhm.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still need to come and, clean up my edges and paint closer, but yeah, not a bad start. I can go back in and experiment and try out different things. But yeah, that was fun. And it gets, if nothing else, I'm off to a good start. And I was just very curious about the cast shadows. Now they're all very warm, so I'd want to cool this area here a little more because the shadows are a little denser and they become a little more dissipated as I get towards the edges where the light is. And then the same thing would be here. I want to get these shadows probably cooler, maybe some darker purples or greens as we, yeah, all right. So let's take another 3-minute break. I just need the time to change my, put the other painting up. So if you need to stretch your legs, refresh your tea, do it now, please. And again, maybe if we have energy or anything, maybe we can work on that, but we'll see. So interesting. I've got a little level bubble on the bottom of this thing, and it's saying it's flat, but it obviously is not.
Oh,
Where is
Oh.
Get seasick.
never on a boat. But
I feel like
no, I went out fishing, my only time deep sea fishing. It was really choppy
yeah.
and everybody was so sick except me and the crew. And I caught my first salmon and I said, well, we can go back in now. I've caught a fish and these people are really feeling bad. And they said, oh, no, we said 2. So everybody's like, oh, just groaning. But it only took another 10 minutes and I caught my second salmon. and we were able to go back in, and they all broke into applause. But
Yeah.
I wasn't sick at all, and everybody else was. It was so sad.
Yeah. I get tired when I go out to sea fishing. I don't get sick. I just get really lethargic. Somehow that rocking motion.
Huh. Kind of put you to sleep, it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, it definitely makes me fight going to sleep. Try to decide on what colors I want to use today. First thing I'm doing is just grabbing my more transparent colors. Now I've got an opaque warm red. Let's see if that gets used. And a very thick. This pile has been out for a while. That green. What color was that? I think that must have been the pink brown. I do have lots of tubes. Green tubes seem to be like sap green and all the different colors. They seem to be fairly transparent a lot of the time. I have this strange tube of paint from Michael Harding called Italian Green Umber. I would not buy it. Hopefully they don't hear it from me, but it is so, it's a beautiful color, but it is so very, very, very weak. It doesn't stand up to any other color.
Ah,
So you kind of learn that. But one of my favorite colors is King's Blue Deep that Michael Harding makes. This is beautiful blue. I don't use it hardly ever, but it's
What's the name of it?
King's Blue Deep. A lot of painters that I really like use it often. It's strangely heavy. I mean, beyond the fact that it's a big tube, but it's much heavier than this other tube of paint, which always makes me think maybe there's lead in it or something. I think I'm gonna keep it a little on the simpler side and kind of go with those colors for now. Oh, maybe I could use the transparent yellow oxide in here. Bet that might work.
did you lighten your acrylic painting from last week?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I was
so-
very tempted to, especially in the ground planes. Because, you know, upon my continuing to play and experiment, realizing that it gets so much darker with the glazing. So what I will have to do is we'll get the glazing done here in this next half hour of class. And then it may be that I end up going back in with opaque paint in a lot of areas, you know, and lightening up. I'm gonna scoot this guy back so you can see the palette a little bit more. Does that look like a pretty good visual?
Yeah. Is that a 20 by 24?
I believe that is right. I don't remember right offhand. It's so strange. I've got a little, yeah, on the very bottom here, I put a little bubble thing, level.
Oh, okay.
It says it's level, but it sure looks crooked. Not that that's gonna matter. It only matter, I guess, to you guys, because I've already got mine.
Just your camera angle.
Huh?
I think it's just your camera angle's off to the right a little.
Could be.
That's straighter now.
If it will stay, because it's on this kind of funny wiry arm. You'll think you've changed it and then you let go of it and it just snaps back into place. Okay, great. What I'm going to do right now is, for one, make a little space here. And then I'm going to step back and I'm going to look at this. And then what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment with that transparent yellow oxide that we were just talking about, because I do know that the yellow, when you put it over some of these bluey blacks, grays, will appear to be kind of greenish, right?
Right.
So let's see what that does. And then I'll be able to bring back some of the greens. And then I do have a little bit of the brown pink, which I can maybe bring a little thicker over the top to get some of the greens. And we're just going to see how that plays. So allow me 1 second as I step back and look at the painting and see how to attack it. All right, so I definitely want, this is my lightest area. And I just have my reference printed here. And I'm going to bring it up on my screen as well. So I am sorry for the slow start here. Just trying to blow it up now, make it as big as I can have it so I can see it from across the room.
You posted another one that was similar to this, and it was very, very bright yellow sky and whatnot. For a minute, I thought you had done this one without us.
Ah,
And
maybe
I
that
was,
was the reference photo.
oh, maybe that's what it, oh, that's what it was. Okay. I thought it was your painting, and I went, oh, no, no.
You missed our secret Thursday class.
I guess I did, is what I thought.
All right, so I'm going to go straight to just Indian yellow. Just a touch of paint thinner, but not much. And I'm going to put in our sky and water just to start. Of course, this color is going to be affecting all the other colors as the light source. I'm not used to painting on canvas, and I'm realizing how much more thirsty canvas is than panel.
Ah,
Feel it literally soaking into the substrate a little bit. So it's like, oh, I don't have as much time as I usually get. So
wow, even though it's acrylic coated?
yeah, that definitely has got to be slowing it down.
I love what that yellow does to those treetops.
Oh, yeah, they glow, don't they?
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in just a touch of the quinacridone. It's not as warm as I would probably ideally want it, but I think that it's not going to make it match the photo as much. I'm gonna go ahead and admit it. I am nervous right now.
Why?
It's just a lot, and it is. I can feel it soaking in. That's okay. Again, nothing bad can really happen because I can come across and just paint it opaquely over the top. So I could have probably just as easily kind of done the transparent earth red and gotten a lot of this nice feeling, but I wanted to see what happens with purer colors. All right, let's bring our paper towels in here real quick. Excuse me.
Mhm.
I noticed that you're not feeling the need to rotate the paper towel so then in a way you're kind of spreading and combining, right?
I am, you're right. Yeah. Very bright. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the light real quick.
Hmm.
That's pretty.
It's a nocturne.
Yeah. Yeah, my paper towel has been pretty contaminated. So now that orange that's on there, I'm letting it do some of the work for me.
It appears that the canvas is not allowing you to take as much paint off.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not trying too hard yet to take off paint. Right now, I'm just still smearing
Okay.
the paint. Just kind of trying to get everything covered.
For harmony.
For Harmony, whoever she is.
Hmm.
But yes, you're right, for harmony's sake. Now I'm just curious what happens if I've got so much on this paper towel.
Yeah, I've only painted on canvas. And so
Me too.
during this break, I bought some of the panels, but I have to, gesso them and everything else, and I just haven't had time.
Sure.
So by January, hopefully, I will have some panels so I can see what that's like to paint on those.
Will that be when the next class is?
January 5th is when it starts. January 5th to February 16th, I believe. I just posted it to my website, and I posted the workshop for OSA if you want to do any in-person learning. It'll be a weekend class. And then I've almost got the class at Manuka, and it'll be two of them next year, actually. One of more studio painting in their beautiful, beautiful studio space, classroom space, and then one more focused on plein air painting out there. But yeah, if you get the opportunity to come out and paint at Manuka, it's not the cheapest, but they provide room and board in the price. It is special, I think. Lauren can tell you about that if she wants. It's just, yeah, it was such a neat experience for me.
Laura, your mic's open.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're making tea.
Wow, perceptive. I just want to say about Manuka, when I was there that last time, I started an oil painting of some dappled sunlight on some stone steps. And of course, the light changed and I never finished my painting, but I did go to take a photograph of it the next day and it was completely overcast. So I need to get back to Manuka to see what those steps look like with sunlight on them.
Yeah, that was a cool spot that you picked. Took me a while to find you, but that was kind of the fun part. It was like playing hide and go seek with my own students because there's so many beautiful areas to paint. So I'm using the transparent yellow oxide right now down at the bottom. And it's appearing quite brownish.
Hmm.
I guess that makes sense that it is an iron oxide. It's just much yellower comparatively to the
Yeah, so unlike the Indian yellow, it is not turning green over the grays.
it really isn't, is it? No, it's I got,
Interesting. Huh.
so what I'm gonna do is wipe that back a little bit so I don't have so much of it, and I'm gonna bring in that transparent green and see.
Oh, that Michael Harding? Is that the one you're gonna use?
This one is the Sennelier brown pink, which is actually
Oh, that one, okay.
confusing color. At least I think that's what this is.
Do you have one place where all your upcoming classes are listed?
Yes, on my website under workshops. And I will be adding more as I get them finalized with everybody. It'll be nice to teach in person so I can find out if my jokes are actually funny. As opposed to having everybody on mute. I just suppose that everybody finds me charming and hilarious, even though you're all just sitting there silently. A little greener. It's a strange color.
Is that standing water? And I guess not, you're covering it, never mind. I was wondering if it was standing water in your track.
Scrub, 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 scrub. Well, it's different.
It does look fairly cool. The ground looks cool compared to the sky.
Yeah, with that bit of green that I brought. And I can definitely cool some areas. And I'm going to cool kind of some of the darks in the sky a little bit by just simply removing some of that warmer paint. And I'm being a little more picky. There you go. See how bluey gray all of a sudden it kind of appears up there?
Yeah.
And again, it's comparative. We saw that when we were putting the colors from one painting into another and putting them in different spots, that, you know, what will appear warm and in one area of the painting will appear cool in the other area just because of what's next to it, what's around it.
Now,
I still see-
which green did you use in the foreground there?
That weird brown pink.
Ah, right.
Yeah,
I still see an eye. It still bothers me.
I still don't see an eye.
It's along the right margin, right at the edge, and about a third from the top. Go to the edge. No. Yeah, now down, right there. No, you went too far. No, right above it, that dark area. I see an eye. It bothers me.
So
Does
funny.
anybody else see it or am I crazy?
Yeah, I can see it. I know what you're talking about. There's a little curved dark line and a curved lighter line and then a circle, and it looks like the inside of the eye, the corner of the eye right there, right there.
Y'all seeing eye.
I remember reading somewhere that seeing faces in in various organic shapes
Means you're
is a symptom of lack of sleep or impending schizophrenic break.
there you
Oh,
go.
wonderful. Thank you.
No, it's that pareidolia, right? Where
Yeah.
our brains are designed to see faces and shapes like that.
Right. But if it gets out of hand, get more sleep. Wow, that sky just looks so plausible.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's not as dark as I thought it was going to go, which is kind of nice. It doesn't have the heaviness as the reference photo.
Yeah, the photo is almost vignetted, you know.
I'm sorry, it's almost what?
It's vignetted. It has a vignette around it,
Yes,
which
yeah,
might.
that does probably have to do with the my camera or my glasses lens.
Oh, right.
Help.
Michael, I see this. I'm looking also at your class on plein air. Will you be meeting at different locations?
I have a class on plein air.
I thought it says maybe it's just it's listed under workshops. February 6th. Oh, never mind. Wait. February 6th, 2020 to March 16th, 2022. Maybe it's just supplies you need if you want to do plein air. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely have a list and a checklist you can use when you go out plein air painting, because nothing worse than getting out there and not having your bug spray or your hat, or worse yet, like your titanium white or paint thinner. Or so I have a checklist that people can print up and use for themselves. You can add, of course. But it's one I use just because it happens. It's happened enough times. I was like, why do I not have a checklist? How can I get all the way out here, drive all the way to the coast, and then forget something is, super important. Yeah, so it's kind of coming along. It's definitely like if I weren't teaching right now, I would keep doing what I'm doing, but I would probably let this sit because I actually like it as an underpainting very much. And I can definitely feel how, I might bring more opaque color on here. And maybe what I will do is do my best to remember to, either shoot a little video or something and then post it to the class afterwards, because I feel bad about not finishing. I'm going to take a tiny bit of paint thinner and I'm going to bring out the light area in that yellow, making it that much more bright. I'm not wiping it all the way back to white. Just looking at what clouds are getting hit by that light. And I'm not looking too much at the reference because the reference has a very strange kind of not very interesting flare. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of make up the shapes that I think might be a little more interesting in the sky of the highlights. So I added a little bit of paint thinner, and now I'm just kind of coming back in with a dry towel and moving some of that paint around a little bit because it allows me to lift it a little bit easier. It was just a little bit of paint thinner. I wanted to make sure it wasn't dripping or, doing any unnecessary harm. Yeah, you can kind of see where I've gone in and lit up the sky a little bit more. I'll take this across a little bit. And again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but I could just be considering these are still just notes for me. I can come back in and cover all of this with paint, and that's fine. I would be totally happy doing that. how long am I spent on this painting? I spent what, about an hour and a half, an hour and a half putting in the acrylic underpainting. And now I'm into it for about another 30, 40 minutes. And, you know, painting can take days and weeks. So an hour and a half of painting time, I should have no expectation of like, oh, why isn't it done yet? You know, why is this, you know, not working as quickly as I wanted? No, I should be patient and I should spend the time that the painting needs. So,
Well, looking at it through the lens of Zoom, it looks complete and done and very tonalist.
yeah, and it's not bad. There's definitely, I mean, I think the sky is pretty close actually. You know, I might bring some more texture in, but I don't care about this right now. And it's missing that kind of yummy green that's in the reference that was going so well, especially if we go back to the original photo where I didn't lay in the road and stuff yet. It's definitely got opportunity. I may even kind of wipe this back down with that in mind and bring in earth red into this area as an underpainting, because I adore olivey greens on top of earth red. It's just one of my favorite color combinations to paint. I almost feel like sometimes it's kind of cheating because it's so beautiful and so not that difficult, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I really like that color combination. I don't know if, you know, everybody likes it. But I definitely have a couple color combinations and I get excited when I know I get to use them. You know, I love the peach colors. I love, you know, or salmon or whatever. I love gray purples. I love olive greens. You know, we all have our kind of preferences. There's, you know, people who say they can recognize my work because of the colors I use. There's people who say they can recognize my work because of the brush strokes I use. And it's funny because I think, oh man, all my paintings look so different from each other, but of course they don't. But we get these preferences, and our preferences, without us even knowing it, kind of become part of our style, don't they? So kind of fun when other people point out things that you're not even really aware of in your own work.
What's your favorite color blend to make the peaches that you like?
Earth red and quinacridone, earth, there, you get it? Indian yellow, quinacridone red here. So there's my Indian yellow. Move it over so we can see it. Quinacridone red. And it just becomes a nice, warm, kind of fire engine-y red. What was the Kathleen? What was the red that you said earlier? The
Oh, Pyrrole.
pyro. It becomes a pyro red, and then when you mix the white, of course, it cools down. So that's kind of it. And like my favorite purple, well, really is Payne's gray and quinacridone red and white, but I actually really like manganese blue and quinacridone red. Makes a very beautiful purple, especially once you get some white into it. So, you know, usually a real purple for me would be the ultramarine blue and quinacridone red, but I actually really like the other one. You can see they're both pretty weak colors. So when I mixed white in, let's see if I can put a little more pigment into it. Yeah, it's kind of
Thank you.
nice. I guess this is more kind of like a salmon-y color than a peach. It's add a little more red and a little more white. You can see how those colors would make beautiful sunset together, kind of mix a little of the peach with the purple, and it should neutralize really nicely into a kind of a mid cool gray or warm gray. It's just fun to see what other colors happen, you know, when you mix them, not side by side exactly, but kind of across and around from each other. Okay. So yeah, what I will probably do after class here, unless you guys want to keep watching, but class is over. We've done it. You guys did, what is that? 24 hours, is that right? 16, yeah, 24 hours of tonalist painting. Congratulations. And this was a pretty fun conclusion. I think all this appears a little too light right through here. I would actually like to kind of bring in some earth red into here, wipe that down a little bit, let it dry, and then I would make up some kind of a, probably kind of a nice green, and then I can mix that with, you know, I got a dark green, a light green, mixing Indian yellow on tops, but into the shadows, and create a little more sense of form, because right now it's all value-based form within each area. But if I could, you know, have warm where the light's hitting it and cooler where in the shadows, we'll just create that much more illusion of space. I'm gonna bring some of that Indian yellow, oh, here it is, on tops of these grasses as they're, because the tops, remember, are getting more light than the back sides. So I'm gonna bring in and warm up and see what happens. See what just.
Oh my.
What happened.
Oh, it is just astonishing. He just adds a little of this and a little of that, and it's beautiful.
Yep.
So I kind of, oh, isn't that nice how it kind of wraps up and towards the light a little bit just by adding that little bit of warmth at the top.
It is amazing.
And let's do the same on these grasses. So the tops of these grasses, that's getting more of that light.
Is that quinacridone red?
No, I'm just using Indian yellow only. Straight Indian yellow, but of course it's mixing with whatever
Mhm.
muddy colors I put down there before.
Wow, what a difference. Just that little bit.
It's amazing.
How it got warm. So let's do the inverse. Let's cool it down a little bit. I'm going to make kind of a purple, but it's not going to appear purple. So I'm just doing a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of my quinacridone, maybe a touch of my manganese. Basically, I'm just using this as a slightly cooler value shift. I'm going to bring that into where I want there to be a little bit more shadow. I'll come back in and scrub that into place a little bit here. This may have been a great place for the Payne's Gray, because it wants to be kind of transparent a little bit. I'm going to grab a slightly firmer brush than that. This is one of my daughter's just kids' acrylic brushes. I'm just trying to kind of create the illusion of some depth, and as things roll or sit in the shadows, where is that light sneaking through to? Where is it not sneaking through to? Just anything that's not facing the light, basically.
Does the rest of the class find yourselves thinking about and dreaming about painting like all the time now?
Yes, and it is a very
Yes.
nice change from when I used to like lie in bed at night thinking about work.
Too bad for me, it is work. No, I'm just kidding. I'll tell you what, though. Did I say that last week? Who was I talking to? It was one of my meetings. They were kind of asking about being an artist, and kind of it was an interview I did thing with a little group, and they were asking, how did I become an artist, blah blah blah. And I was saying basically that I was a waiter, bartender for like 10 years, 9 years actually. And it was good. It taught me a lot, but it was nice to have the money. And then the more I painted, the more I was selling, the less I worked at the restaurants, until one day I showed up, and stop me if I already told this story, but one day I showed up and I hadn't been there because I'd been working on a children's book illustration assignment. Hadn't been there in a little bit, and I got there and there was a new manager. And right when I walked in, this gentleman looks at me and goes, "Do you work here?" Because I'm, wearing the outfit, everything, name tag. And I just looked at him. I go, "I don't think I do." I just went home, and I probably messed with some of my poor fellow employees. But I got home, and I just left 15 minutes earlier. My wife's standing there. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I think I just quit." And it was really nice. And it was, not shortly before our daughter was born. And because I was getting home at 3, I'd close the bar down at 2, clean up and do all that, count the money, get home at like 3:30, and my wife would be leaving at 7 in the morning. So we just weren't really seeing each other. And it was like, man, this is gonna be a weird way to raise a family. But anyways, the point being is that I still, including last night, have nightmares about being a waiter, about working in restaurants, and about forgetting about clients or customers, not knowing where my tables are that I'm supposed to be taking care of, and it's always like, it's like those high school dreams where you can't find your locker and you don't know what class.
Right.
And I have those dreams probably once every couple months. And when I was telling that story to the people, I was like, I've never had a nightmare about painting.
Hmm.
That's saying something.
Well, that's because some of my paintings are nightmares.
Yeah. Maybe that's how I get it out of the way. But it's interesting. I do dream about painting, but I don't ever have nightmares about painting. So I guess that means I'm going in the right direction, at least mentally. I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for a little bit. You can kind of see what I was doing, kind of darkening, trying to think of how's that light coming across. I could do the same thing in the trees. I would definitely want to darken and cool these. As I'm building it up, I can bring cooler shadow colors into these to let them fall back and feel cooler, so that the warm branches and things that are picking up the light, if I bring in some kind of purpley, cool grays, I don't want to make them too purple, glary, but lighten those, cool those down. It'll make the warm feel even warmer in those trees if I want. In the grasses, like I said, I want to bring more browns probably into this, but maybe adding that bit of Indian yellow kind of browned it down. And then I can wait a little bit and bring in just I can scumble in some grass textures and different things. Same thing with this hill. I'd probably make it a little cooler purple as it comes back towards the light, getting warmer as it comes in here. And then I can look at my sky and decide if I want any other colors, or I could even hit it again with more color. Lots that I can do.
You can use.
But like you said, it's kind of, in theory, it could probably be done already. In theory, I could probably put this in a gallery, but that's not enough. I want it to be as good as I can be. And I also want to push it and learn from it. It's not enough anymore for me, hopefully, in my artwork, to be good enough. And if that means I push it too far and risk ruining it,
Above the sink.
that's the price of learning. That's the price of
Mhm.
experimenting. And I'm comfortable with that now. And plus they're oils, so I can usually fight my way back. I definitely learn by going too far. I suggest going too far. I suggest playing and experimenting more than playing it safe. That being said, if you create a beautiful little sketch really quick, put it down, stop, save it, use it as a reference for the future, use it as a look what I did, and just do another one. So, you know, it definitely goes back and forth. Some of my favorite paintings, especially out plein air painting, are 15-minute sketches where I just stopped and I stopped in the nick of time and just picked up another one and started again. And I can even paint the exact same scene. But yeah, actually 2 paintings that I refused to sell for a number of years were that. They were literally 15-minute quick sketches, and the gesture of the trees and the shapes was in, and I caught just the essence of the thing. And luckily, actually, it was Don Bishop who was with me and yelled at me, "Stop!" And sometimes that is what it takes. So there, I just completely told you 2 very contrasting ideas. And but yeah, push, learn, and remember, we don't fail at painting. Okay, I know I've said that in past classes. Fail fast, fail often, because we learn so much from our failures, but I've changed my vocabulary on that. And it's, and you guys all heard this said before, but when it comes to painting, it's especially true, is we either win or we learn. And sometimes the learning is more valuable than the winning in painting. Every painting is for the next painting. And you just, if you are willing to look at your paintings, the less than successful ones, the ones that are not the wins, the ones that are the learns, and just say, okay, what could I have done differently? What should I do differently? What should I not do again? It's invaluable. And truly, all the classes ever, unless they're mine, of course, just kidding. All the classes ever will not make you as good a painter as you could be if you just keep painting. I think classes are great and you learn a lot, and it's a lot of fun and camaraderie and the assignments and thinking about things in different ways. But the truth is, those of you who paint the most will do the best. You'll grow the fastest, especially if you're willing to learn from your not wins. So I'm going to come back, sit down, quit lecturing you, and let's all have a quick chat, go over very quickly. I know you guys, I think there's only a couple of you left, which I completely understand. Oh, maybe I don't get to come back and sit down. Alt N, Alt V, Alt N. Huh, well, I guess I'm stuck over here. So we'll end with you looking at our painting and where we got to. But anyways, very quickly, it was wonderful. You guys were awesome. Thank you for being in my inaugural tonalist painting class. I would love any feedback you have, what you wish we'd done more, what your favorite parts were. Just a really quick recap. In the first week, we dealt with 3 values, just the trees, the ground, and the sky. Then we introduced the concept of the 4 values, with the sky being 1, the land being 2, the 45-degree angles 3, and the uprights being 4. And that's literally all you need to make successful paintings read. And then we dealt with color and temperature keys. And then we dealt with value keys. And then what did we do last week? Started this painting.
Right.
Larger size.
Larger size.
Put
And then
all of it together.
Yeah, putting it together. Oh, and we also dealt with atmosphere a little bit in there. And then how do we break today? We had the short discussion about using the value keys within your painting. And you can kind of see that taking part in some parts of my painting. Definitely in other ones where I don't have darks in the background, you can see that, but it could also be in just quadrants of your painting that you can think, you know, this is a high value key area, this is the dark value key area, or full value key in the foreground if you want. And also something that I skimmed a little bit and would love to come back to is the value families, you know, the darks and the shadows separate from the lights and the objects being hit by light, and never the two shall meet kind of a thing, the Romeo and Juliet kind of a thing. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of information. Hopefully it was presented in a way that was broken down enough and approachable enough that you have these at least thoughts. And some of you have lots of little cute studies that you can refer to, little sketches. And I look forward to January and doing it again, this time with more color and learning about color and the transitions. And if you guys do have questions or would like a little more feedback on a painting, I would say, you know, feel free to email me and we can set up a phone call. And I've done that with a couple of you. And I look forward to seeing your work from now till January as well. So let's keep sharing it on this page if you want. It'll keep popping up for us in our feed, and I will try to be better about looking at it, which I always say and never do. But yeah, anything else, you guys, as we part?
Just thank you very, very much.
Mom?
It's been a great class. It exceeded my
Yes.
expectations.
Yes, I think so too.
I've learned so much. Just thank you so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You guys were amazing. All the hard work you guys put in, and great questions. And yeah, I had a blast. I always do. You guys are a great group, and I'm blessed by the ones of you that are able to come back and be with us. And as we learn more and more about each other and our different painting styles and everything else. And yeah, it's awesome. Great. All right.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
Yes, you
Happy
too.
holidays to you.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Denise. Bye, Michelle. Bye, Laura.
Bye.
Bye, whoever else is on there that I can't see. Take care.